guys, Zach here from Kubota of Lynchburg. Today I wanted to talk to you about what is a third function hydraulic valve, what is it used for, how to hook it up to implements, and how to basically make sure that implement does actually properly hook up, because that's a lot of difficult questions we get is, I can't hook up my grapple I just bought, or I can't hook up my auger, and so we're going to walk through that today. So first off, what is a third function hydraulic valve? I like to explain it this way. I won't go into too much detail. I like to explain it as far as your loader has two functions. Raising and lowering your boom is one function, and then tilting your bucket on the front of it is your second function. So what if you wanted to raise your loader and tilt your bucket and grab something? You need a third function or a third option for it, which is why it's called a third function hydraulic valve kit. So you can get these from everywhere. You can get them from Land Pride, you can get them from Kubota, you can get them from WR Long, you can get them from all sorts of vendors online. A lot of them are very similar. Some are diverter valves and some are full true third functions. I recommend sticking with those. Just get one with somebody that has good customer support behind it in case a fitting's wrong or an O-ring is wrong or something like that. So if we look here, we're going to see the main area of a third function valve. Basically, everything comes down to right here where there's going to be two fittings on the end of it. This one has the dust covers on it, which keeps it nice and clean, but this is where the work comes out of a third function valve. This is where you're going to be hooking up to. Almost always comes out right on your loader frame, right where you hook up to your bucket or your grapple or anything like that. But it comes all the way back, and this is a Land Pride one, comes all the way back, runs over to your loader valve. Then it takes the hydraulics off of your loader and tractor hydraulic valve and basically adds another valve block here with electronics and everything and sensors and everything like that in there. It also then adds electronics all the way up to your loader handle. This one, if you see on this side, there's two buttons. It are two red buttons on it that basically one will open the flow and one will close the flow for opening or closing your grapple or spinning your auger or running your bush hog on it. So your whole third function is basically anywhere from your handle, goes down to your hydraulics and out to the front. So, all right, you've got your third function valve installed. If you haven't done it, your dealership did it. You can go either way. For somebody who's extremely experienced, that can be put on in anywhere from 15 minutes if everything's perfectly laid out and proper, to up to 3, 4, 5, 6 hours for somebody who is learning as they go. So keep that in mind. It can be an extensive process. One of my guys here at the dealership, he can, if everything's laid out and perfect, he can do like 15 minutes if he's available to do them. So if we run back up here, we're going to talk about the different couplers on a third function valve. Luckily, there's just two main couplers. Now, there are different sizes. We're going to have what's called the Pioneer coupler. This is a Pioneer coupler. You can tell because it's an indented female end and a male end with a nipple or a protrusion on the end. This can be kind of the flat top or it can be rounded top. This is a Pioneer style coupler. How to put this or how to attach them, you pull back on this ring here, insert it, and now you're hooked up. The downside to a Pioneer coupler is when you remove this, there's a lot of built-up hydraulic oil in here and it will drip everywhere, probably 5 to 10 drips out of each side, and you will get a mess on the floor underneath it. But it is pretty easy to hook and unhook, simple, easy on and off when it's hooked up to hoses. Then we'll take a look at the flat-faced coupler, which is what us as a dealership is going to. Flat-faced, because there's no indents or anything like that, there's no leaking to. When you take it on and off, there's no drip, there's no mess, there's nowhere for dirt or mud or anything to get caught in. It's much easier to keep clean. What this is it just takes pressure. There is a ring here, but it basically just takes pressure to install it. So this is what's on skid steers and everything like that, but also on the third functions we're putting on, and then to release it, pop, it releases. This is my preferred way. This is why we're switching to a little bit more expensive, but the better option in my case, in my opinion, compared to Pioneers. Keep in mind, they're different sizes. There's 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 3/16. I don't know what all the different coupler sizes are. There's also different ways they screw in. Hydraulics are all sorts of confusing, so make sure that you get the right ones, whether it's O-ring based or anything like that for your couplers. Again, if you're working with a dealership, they should be able to get that handled for you. So let's say you're going to go hook up your grapple. I've got a nice Titan implement grapple here. It's called a root grapple. And what I've done here is I have my couplers kind of already put together, because you're going to quick attach on the front of it. Remember, your third function comes out here. Let me see if I can remove this. There we go. And you're going to have your two ends. You take these two ends, male goes in female goes with male. You're going to plug them into your third function, and you're hooked up and ready to roll. Now, this one doesn't have a third function on it. There's just display on it. But a lot of times there's pressure buildup, whether it's on the tractor end or on the implement grapple or auger end on it. Pressure builds up for multiple reasons. You basically just unhooked, and let's say it's 40 degrees outside, and you hook up to it, you use it, you detach it. 3 months later, it's now 90 degrees outside like it is today, which is why I'm sweating, and you want to hook up. All that heat has built up the hydraulic pressure. It's now hot. These hoses are very hot. It's ugly. That hydraulic pressure is now pushing against these. You can see I barely push that in, and most of the time, if there's hydraulic pressure, if I hadn't already hooked it, you wouldn't be able to do that. So you're going to try to connect them, and you physically won't be able to plug it into the tractor. So what I recommend is when you actually take off your implements, if you have the ability, hook these together. It will then, you can even see this one because it's been sitting here for a little while, even then it's a little difficult, but it'll allow the hydraulic flow to continuously work through the circuit rather than building up against one of the couplers. So when you take off your implement, hook your couplers together if possible. Otherwise, let's say you can't do that or you forgot to do that and it's just stuck. Take this, and against the grapple, against ideally like a wooden surface or something like that so you don't ding it up, you want to basically put pressure against it so that pressure will pop out. There's multiple ways to do this. You can take a screwdriver or a wrench or something like that and push down either in the female end or on the male end. The issue is if it's on like a big implement under too much pressure, that thing will come out with some force that could cut through you. So you got to be careful with that end. The best ideal way is take 2 adjustable wrenches and take off the actual coupler, the actual fitting, but then you got to tighten it back on. My opinion, find a wooden block, find a log, hit it against it a couple times till the pressure releases on that end. On the flat face, it's a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to use that screwdriver or disconnect the couplers with 2 adjustable wrenches to release that pressure. And you're going to lose some hydraulic fluid on that end as well. Hopefully not a lot. You're going to pop it off, let the pressure drain out, and then plug it into your tractor. On your tractor end, this is the last part, on your tractor end, what you're going to do is you're going to take your third function. We're going to walk over here again. You are going to not turn on your tractor because then the hydraulic pump is outputting capacity. You're going to turn it on one click to where the electronics are engaged. That's what's engaging your buttons, the electronics. So turn your electronics on, but do not start the engine. And then move your loader around, move this all around, push your buttons on and off. And what you're doing is if it's under pressure, you'll see these hoses are tight. There's that pressure pushing against them. And it'll loosen all the pressure and you'll kind of see them droop down a little bit more. And you're really just going to work this loader all the way around and work your buttons all the way around until there's no more pressure on it. Then it'll plug right in. So keep that in mind when you're trying to basically plug in a grapple, plug in a skid auger, plug in a hydraulic angle snow blade, whatever you're using it for. There's a lot of options. But that is what a third function is, and that is how to attach an implement ideally. Of course, if you have questions or it doesn't work for you, leave a comment, let us know.